Anin, this is Braden Butterfield back again for another episode of this series from the KBIC Natural Resources Department. This series is a partnership of manoomin, Wiikwedong, the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, Gete-gitigaaning, the Vieux Desert Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Office for Coastal Management. Today we hear from some of the attendees of the manoomin restoration workshop that took place here in KBIC. This episode features Donica Dravillas, Ronnie Krueger, and Sam Klingman. After introductions, the first question I posed was, what does wild rice mean to you?
I find it to be mysterious and very powerful. When I see it growing in water the way it does, I find it to be, I want to go to it and be next to it, but I know that I can't. So it's alive in a way that I just immediately respect it, because it has its own space that I must immediately become relative to. So I honor it immediately, without even knowing, the science of how it grows and how it, starts as a seed and pushes through the water and lays on the top and all of that. It's very knowing everything is alive, the plant and water and trees and so forth, but this plant, this manoomin, is different to me as a vegetation, as how I acknowledge it.
To me, it's a traditional food that my family has eaten for a long time that I can remember. I've always thought it to be something special, and I knew that it was in the Native American culture, very sacred, so that signaled to me that it must be important.
It's natural. It's been put there by the Creator for us to sustain. There's a lot of teachings. I don't know all the stories behind it, but I know bits and pieces, and I believe them. They said they put it there so we could live. Take care of our generations. Like I said, the main thing is here to preserve and keep this up for our future generations to come. 7 generations ahead.
Then we discussed how they actually interacted with manoomin, whether it be taking part in the harvesting process, or maybe it's just a part of their diet.
Sure. So I cook with it. I casseroles and soups and things.
I am still learning my practices. I think I just recently learned how to pronunciate it correctly. Instead of saying manoomin and saying manoomin, and I'm still learning. I'm still finding out more about it. I'm right now becoming very particular about the manoomin I eat and how it's prepared. That's where I'm at right now with my relationship with it.
I go out and I harvest it in the boat. I have never processed it. I didn't have the interest. I like picking it. One of the main things that I really liked about it is it's so calm and relaxing. And I'm not a seasonal harvester, but I learned what I learned from my dad. He was one of the wild rice. He's one of the wild rice chiefs from back home. And for me, it was a lot of just be able to communicate with him, sit down comfortably and sit out there on the water and pick. It was just so comfortable and such a good time. It's one of our main traditional foods at every ceremony, gathering, celebration, whatever we have. It's there. That's one of our main dishes that has to be there. So, like I said, it's just overall, it's a good experience. It's a gift.
As each interviewer got closer to a wrap, I gave everyone a chance to add anything that we might have missed.
Well, I own a piece of land that has a small lake on it, and I was hoping that it would be a good spot to grow. and I had a friend come out and look at it, who knows of such things and what to look for. And the lake that's on this land is not conducive. It's a very young body of water, so that silt is not there for it to grow. So every time I go by bodies of water, that's immediately what I wonder now. I think about manoomin all the time. Any small little body of water around me, and there's many, but as far as a story, I think that's how it's really affected me, my relationship with Nibe.
I think it's needed. It has to. It's to us. It's the understanding the Anishinaabe people and what it means to us, and how can we protect this together. Like I said, it's for everyone. It's not just Anishinaabe. It's for everybody. So if we have a better understanding of what this is, this gift that the Creator's given us, what better to help asking for someone else that their understanding, their help on to preserve this for everybody.
Yeah, I'm a food grower. I grow food is one of my passions, and wild rice manoomin is just something I've been interested in for a long time. I never had the opportunity to learn about. So when I was asked to come here as a water walker, I just figured I'd stick around and kind of listen and observe.
Well, I appreciate that this is happening. I like being involved as an Anishinaabe. I like being involved in togetherness. I like learning new things. I like to interact with people. I think that's, part of us, who we are. And teaching somebody else that may not understand us and what the importance of it, instead of sitting there, waiting for people that, they're not going to ask, who are you? What does this mean to you? So it's part of our jobs to go out there and say, well, this is who we are, and this is what what they mean to us. And they might not listen to us either. But if you keep doing it, someone's going to hear it. So we just keep trying. Like I said, I look at it, I have a little girl back home, and I got many nieces and nephews and cousins and everybody I look up to, that I try to look out for. That's our job. As Anishinaabe men, this is what we have to do. Do our best to make sure this is going to be there for the 7 generations to come. So, like I said, I do not know a lot of things, but I do get involved, and I do try to do my best. So, I appreciate that you guys are putting these things on, and you're doing this. That's very commendable. Playing your part. Helping as your mother, right? Helping your mom. She's real proud of you. That's good to see. I like that. So other than that, I feel bad because she asked me, it kind of caught me off guard, and I said, well, I better get back over there, start listening to women. She asked, so I better go do it.
I think it's time for us as a community to realize that we can grow it and that it can be cultivated as a community, because I think from what little I know, the growing of it and the harvesting of it, it's a community function, and it brings people together, and it's of all ages, and it looks a lot of fun. I haven't done it yet, but I think that it possibly could be a driving force in building a bridge between different races and different ages and different socioeconomic, where we all are doing this together, and so we've done it and we share it and then we eat it together, and that brings us back to what we're supposed to be doing anyway. So I think it's pretty powerful. It could be if we could all get on the same page and start growing it. If everyone was driving around looking at bodies of water, the same way, well, why don't we grow it? So that's what I think it needs to start to be grown everywhere.
Honestly, no, I don't know. I would like to be somehow on a volunteer basis involved with some of the projects around the area, but I like I said, I'm new, so I really don't know. Lately I've just been trying to find a good source that I can buy native grown manoomin, and so I'm way up in Copper Harbor, so it's not super easy to find. So that's one thing, I guess, that I'm committed to.
I'll just keep getting involved in things like this, these relationships, and understanding what's out there. And one of the things is it's always about funding. It's a big thing. I think with this collaboration with the states and other government and organizations, we can do that, because tribes don't necessarily have money for these things, and these are very costly. So better understanding that, and just keep working forward and learning, what we can do for learning from each other, what's happening, what's working, what's not working. That's I guess the goal. The best I can do is try to understand better too.
Once again, Chimigwech to Donica, Ronnie and Sam for sitting and speaking with us. It was a very intriguing experience and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The very last thing I did before we stopped the recording was asking what I thought was the hardest question on our list. And that question is the same question that I pose to you, dear viewer, here today. In one word, what does manoomin mean to you? This is Braden Butterfield and Gete-gitigaaning.
Alright, one last question. What does manoomin mean to you in one word?
Mysterious.
Sustenance?
Love.
This series is a partnership of manoomin, Wiikwedong, the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, Gete-gitigaaning, the Vieux Desert Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Office for Coastal Management. This collaboration has come together to listen and share stories of our work protecting and restoring manoomin.